Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Diz Unplugged, coming to you live from the Bob Varley Studio in Orlando, Florida. I'm your host, Pete Werner, joined in the studio this week by my good friends, Denny Sunderly.
Hey there.
Rhino Clavin.
Hello.
Kathy Whirling.
Hi, everybody.
Back for the first time in a long
Hi,
time,
y'all.
Ms. Julie Martin. I was so excited when I came in and I saw her. I didn't know she was going to be here. And, of course, our producer, Mr. Craig Williams.
Ahoy, ahoy.
And just a few things before we get started. Number one, this show, along with all the shows we produce, brought to you by DreamsUnlimitedTravel.com, of which I am one of the owners, along with John Magi and Donna Lefevre. If you like our content, that's how I pay for all this stuff, through Dreams. So please, DreamsUnlimitedTravel.com. Also, a reminder that right after this show, we'll have our Patreon after show, which has been a lot of fun to do, but not as fun as the live streams that Drake Shadwell and I have been doing on Saturday nights, 8 p.m., just for our Patreon supporters. Now, we've been doing some video game streaming. This past week, though, they kind of got a preview of what I'm going to say today about the 50th anniversary. But also, I found all these old DV tapes, mini DV tapes that we filmed. Like, there's stuff going back to 2000. It's like
Oh, wow.
20 year
That's
old,
awesome.
20 years old. And one of the ones I happened to pop in during the stream and was showing people was the last Halloween Horror Nights that Bob Varley was at.
Oh,
And so it was emotional, but also really, really wonderful to see him again. And I just streamed the tape. We just streamed the tape, and there was commentary over it. And I'm not kidding, folks. I think I have about 150 tapes. I have no idea what's on them. So we're gonna kind of do that too, like some random streams of these things I have in this library that I forgot I had. I didn't forget I had it. I just hadn't. It was like kind of tucked away in the garage, and found them last week. And I'm like, oh my God, this would be
Wow.
so fun. So patreon.com/DizUnplugged. That's available to Patreon supporters at all tiers. So you can go there, and if you want to watch us, we're doing this every Saturday night. We're doing something different. And it'll either be a video game stream or rants or these old videos or all the above. It just depends on what mood I'm in that day. And I just have to give a plug to Magic Candle Company. I am obsessed with pumpkin spice.
Really?
Or the Pumpkin King. Pumpkin King.
Pumpkin King. Okay.
Pumpkin King.
Okay, I can agree with that because Corey gave it to me when he came home with it. And so I put it in the kids' bathroom. I mean, I have a almost teenage son. So
You need all the help you can get.
Ridley's like, this smells so good, Mom. I want it in my room. But I really enjoyed it too. I really like the oils a lot.
Well, I mean, I love Magic Candle Company, but I not all of his candles, suit me. I think there's one Pink Castle
Yes.
that just came out. It was too, I don't know,
Sugary?
sugary.
Yeah.
And I like warm, especially this time of year. I like really warm fragrances, but I'll burn those candles in like July, because I just like the feeling, just the emotional feeling I get.
Yeah.
There's a nice warm smell in the house. And so magiccandlecompany.com, code Disney Info, saves you 15%. Yeah,
15?
15%.
And he's doing free shipping over 50 right now.
over $50 free shipping. Okay. All right. Enough of that. Because I could sit here and spend a half an hour plugging things that I'm involved with. But we have to talk about the 15th anniversary. And I know a lot of people have been saying, oh, I hope you rant about this and I hope you rant about that. And I'm not 100% sure this is going to go into a rant, but if it does, it's not the rant you're thinking it's going to be. I want to start out with one question. What in hell is happening with our community? Fistfights in the Emporium over merchandise that's been there for weeks? Knocking a cast member to the ground? what the actual hell is going on? And I would like to say that was it. I was there for a live show of Harmonious. It was an event with Walt Disney Travel Company. I was invited, John and I were invited as travel. Craig, of course, was there as media. And at the end of that show, I think it was on my Facebook page, Illuminations meets World of Color. This was amazing. And then I'm reading some of the comments about the show. And look, I'm not saying people aren't entitled to their opinions. They are. But I'm going to call out hypocrisy when I see it. So what are the complaints? It has nothing to do with Epcot. It uses all this IP, all this intellectual property. It has no storyline. The first thing I thought was World of Color. Uses nothing but Disney IP, has no storyline, and has nothing to do with California, yet we wet ourselves when we see it. I'm also not 6 years old and don't need to be read a story every time something happens. Every time Disney hands me a hamburger, I don't need a story to go along with it. Sometimes I just want to be entertained. And that was an amazingly entertaining show. Now, I do put some blame on Disney for the crappy live stream that they did of that show. This is a company with resources beyond in terms of production. They could have done much, much, much better. And I watched their live stream after the fact, and then watched what Craig produced. I'm like, okay, I like Craig's better. Mm-hmm. I like Craig's better.
Yep.
Because I went back to watch Craig's, because I'm hearing all this whining and bitching. And I'm like, did I miss something? Because I walked away from that show, and the artistry of it alone, the artistry of it was emotional for me. Was emotional.
See, I wish I had been standing beside you, because when I got to see World of Color, I said to you, I wasn't impressed, and you said, just wait till you see it in person. And I came away with a totally different feeling.
I think that's a big part of the problem, too. I don't think it translates as well
No, it
on
doesn't.
video as it does when you're there. When you start seeing those octopus arms going 19 directions, doing all sorts of stuff, I was like, whoa. It was incredible.
Yeah, it's tough because they have decided with the live streams, like on these important nights, it allows them to be the first and the biggest. And I don't know if this is clearly their only motivation with it, but it feels like it's part of it is that they want what they want out there, and that's why they're doing on it.
Well,
but
how'd that work out for them?
I've been saying for years, they just don't understand. They treat it like a production when for the first time you need to be able to take it in. Even if you don't have a great spot, you're still taking it in with that full vantage point that your eyes allow you. And they want to control that in those streams. So a couple weeks down the line after people see it, you know what, sure, go ahead, start to show those details for it. But you put it up there, and that's like the main source that people can see right away besides whatever live streamers are in the park. And that paints a bad picture right away. So I wish they would just back off of it or listen to the feedback of people and say, please don't treat this like it's a 19 camera multi-shoot of Hamilton, because it's not. It's fireworks.
It also takes away from the anticipation of seeing a new show at Disney. You know, watching it online is definitely not the same. I was there live on Sunday night and with Taylor, and let me just say it's better than a spinning globe for sure, okay? Everybody knows how I feel about that previous show. I hated it, okay? I'm just going to be honest, but I said to Taylor, she's never been to Disneyland, I said, this reminds me of World of Color with fireworks. Mm-hmm. And we did not stand in one spot and watch the show, but we did take it in for a few minutes after we came out of France. We moved along so we could get a little better vantage point. The music is wonderful. You know all the songs. It's not some, you know the song.
See, now I disagree with you on that, but
It's
I take
much
your point.
better for me. I loved it. I thought it was beautiful. We stood in the UK and watched the fireworks, which were coming up over the Rose and Crown, which made it look incredible.
Oh, I can imagine.
You know, so we thought it was a very, very well done. Very well done. I know people complain about the screens being there during the daytime. I rather enjoyed them because they have the giant 50 on them. Yeah. And as the sun was setting over there near Spaceship Earth, I had a really nice little pan just like from the sun. You see Spaceship Earth, and then you see all the big 50s with the blue behind them. Like, okay, I haven't been to a theme park in like over 2 years. So for me, it was kind of incredible.
And we need to be students of history. As Disney fans, we need to be students of history. Does anyone remember what the reaction was when Happily Ever After replaced Wishes? I miss Wishes. I miss Wishes.
Yeah.
Now, we've got a new fireworks show, Enchantment, at the Magic Kingdom, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I miss Happily Ever After. Do you not think in 10 years or whenever they replace this current show that you're not going to be complaining about the new one? That you miss Enchantment? Be students of history, please. Please. Now,
I don't mean to interrupt you, but that's exactly what after walking out of Disney Enchantment, Andy texted me and said, okay, what did you think? And I said, you know what? It's not Happily Ever After, but Happily Ever After wasn't Wishes. And until it was finally Happily Ever After, everyone adopted it and fell in love with it. So will that same thing happen with Enchantment over time? I would imagine it would. I'm not a huge fan of Harmonious. I'm not.
You didn't like it?
For multiple. I enjoyed it better live than I did on a live stream. I texted Craig that night and said, I sincerely hope that looks a whole lot better live than that live stream that we just watched, because that was a hot mess. And I loved Craig's footage of it. What you do with fireworks, Craig, is incredible.
I know.
He's incredible. And so I enjoyed it live. I found the octopus arms distracting.
Yes.
I didn't need all that action going on. I didn't need cannons coming out. Now, the element where the pyrotechnics launched across the lagoon from the shore, I enjoyed that.
that was amazing.
I loved how they used international languages. I loved that element of the show, but I didn't need all the fountains. I didn't need the octopus arms. I don't know that it reflected Epcot, but okay. Like, I even went back and I'm watching as I'm getting ready today. I'm watching Illuminations again, just to go, okay, so remind me, remember what Illuminations was and what were the elements.
Oh.
It didn't leave you with this inspirational, we go on afterwards. It left you with a missive, good night, and that was it. And I went, oh.
And it seemed,
See, it left. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, and it seemed to me at the end, when it ended, it was like, is that it? Is it over? And then the announcer came on and announced something for Spaceship Earth, and I says, they missed the point if somebody has to come on and like basically say, that's the end of the show.
I do want to pause. I appreciate all the great comments. I also want to give a big shout out to Rhino on Wednesday night while I was standing in a comfy media corral where I was given free desserts, free dinner, free booze, whatever I wanted. Rhino was standing close to the castle at Magic Kingdom trying to get video of the last Happily Ever After. And it was, it was a great video, but I'm sure the experience was a nightmare. So I just want to give him credit for that too. So
Now look,
With the
all you
throngs.
guys,
Yeah.
all of you guys delivered the goods. You guys did such a wonderful job covering the 50th. And I don't know, like I chose the morning of the 50th. I was doing my review of Steakhouse 71 for breakfast. Unbelievable run, don't walk. I will talk about that in a little bit. And I've got people sending me videos of, massive crowds inside stores, nobody wearing a mask. And then, of course, the fist fight. And I'm like, oh, hell no. I'm not going in. I live here, right? I can go whenever I want. And I'm just going to I don't need to be in that. And I was like,
That's how I felt. It's like I felt like I needed to be there and I should be there. And I looked at the people and went, "Oh hell no,
Yeah.
no, not that many people."
And I've told my team that when it comes to, especially in the times we live in, if you're not comfortable, don't go. It's okay. You're not going to lose your job. Nobody's going to get yelled at. If you're not comfortable, we've got to prioritize that right now. And look, there's a ton of things we can rightfully complain about with Disney right now, especially. The whole narrative of them charging more and giving less, that's fair game. That is fair game. But the reaction to Harmonious that I saw, I think I said this in I think it was on Facebook. Said Jesus Christ himself could have walked across that lagoon and this community would have criticized his outfit.
I mean, sandals, open-toed shoes in a theme park, gross.
But you get my point, that that's how it's starting to feel. And
I mean, the nice part is, as far as Harmonious goes, the community found a topic to come together and hate even more,
True.
Yeah.
which was Disney Enchantment. So as soon as that debuted, then all of a sudden the story flipped, and now it's, wow, Harmonious is so much better than Disney Enchantment. And at the end of the day, though, I think when it comes to the visuals, different people, as Denny said, she doesn't like the arms and stuff. I think it's technologically impressive with Harmonious. With Enchantment, the music just kicked for me, so I loved it. That string where it goes from instrumental versions of A Whole New World into You Can Fly and then into The Unknown, people are talking about how oh, I wasn't emotional at all watching it, nothing gripped me. I'm like, those are the versions of how those songs came together hit me in that moment, and then coming in with the soft quiet version of I Am Moana that's just kind of tragic in the moment, but building back up hope. If you don't like those movies and you don't like that music, I can understand why, but yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it.
I want to dig just a
You
little.
want to dig a little deeper?
A little deep. Yeah.
Know who you
Tambourine, hold on.
Couple of things that occur to me. Now, I've been doing this a long time, and I've watched and been a part of a lot of complaining about a lot of things. When I do a review of anything, when I go in to do it, I do a gut check. Where am I? Am I pissed off about something that happened 3 hours ago? Am I in a bad mood? And not that I'm going to get myself out of a bad mood, before I do the review, but I want to be mindful of it so that I'm not letting it affect my opinion. We have been through, as a world, but I'll speak more specifically about our community, we have been through hell the last 18 months. We have had visceral changes thrust upon every single one of us. And none of us has liked it. None of us has felt comfortable with it. And we've had to learn how to adapt, and it just doesn't seem to end. And I think if some people did a gut check, I think some of that, I think some of that frustration, some of that anger, some of that fear is aimed at Disney sometimes because they can't punch back.
Oh yeah.
They can't punch back. Think about, I think about, I was having a conversation with someone about their teenage son and how, the way the son speaks to his father. And he doesn't understand why. And I said, because you're safe. He knows you're going to love him no matter what. And there's something he's not able to deal with. There's something he's going through. And you're a safe outlet. and I think some of this, not all of it, but some of it is Disney is a punching bag that won't punch back. It's always we know it's gonna be there.
But see, I think Disney had the opportunity. I liked the music. I mean, I still had moments where I had tears in my eyes. They had a moment that for everything that we've been through, if they would have put a little bit of, as you know, like they used to say when we gather around the fire, if they would have had something like, we're all gathered here, we've gone through this, you know, in a way that only Disney can say it, that we're coming together and we've made it through. And coincidentally, it's our 50th anniversary. They could have put all of that in there, and that would have made that show just that much better. And that, for me, would have been the Disney
And that's
touch.
fair feedback. That is fair feedback. And it's not the elements of the shows that people have pointed out they didn't like. It's not that. It's this visceral, almost hate that is coming out. That is not, it's not a reaction that is warranted to the event.
Right.
No one died. No one died. Artistically, you don't like what they did. Fine. But if I'm going to tell you something, as somebody who has had to be an advocate for this community to Disney management on more occasions than I can count, it's stuff like this is the reason why they roll their eyes when people talk about the fan community to them. Because it feels like no matter what they do, they're going to hate it. No matter what they do, no matter how hard they try, these people are going to complain. Now think about, we've all had people in our lives that nothing was ever good enough. Nothing was ever good enough. Everything was, they complained about everything. What happens after a while? We tune them out. Mm-hmm. We tune them out. And I'm starting to wonder if that's not part of the issue here. I like that I have a reputation of being tough but fair. I like that's how I'm looked at. And I wear that as a badge of honor. That I'm tough, but I'm fair. Would it be very easy for me right now, for the sake of clicks, for the sake of popularity, to tell you what you want to hear? Yes, it is. Very easy. But I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. Now, I'm being a lot more calm in this conversation than I was Saturday night when our Patreon folks got a preview of what I was feeling, because I was very upset Saturday night. Very upset.
I don't understand people's dislike for change. Change is inevitable in our lives, at Disney, in anything. I mean, nothing stays the same ever. I mean, look at science, technology, anything. So I just think it's time to get over it.
See, and I think
start embracing the change, because it's always going to
Well,
change.
speaking as somebody who doesn't really like change, you can drag me to it and I'll eventually get there, but it takes more than like a week or so for me to accept something new. And then eventually I'll go, oh, okay, that's all right. But
I'm talking about the fact that people don't expect Disney to change. I mean, how can you embrace something like, you know, new attractions, but you can't embrace something like new fireworks shows, or, you know, I just don't get it.
It's because one of the things that I think we've been saying for a couple years now with every new attraction that comes out is Disney has ridden this path where everything has to like almost one up the next thing right after, and it's always everything's escalating, and so now everyone is, and I throw myself into this from time to time too, everyone expects the next thing to be better than the last, and that's not always going to happen. Sometimes things are going to miss marks, or it's just not going to connect like it did before with it. But there was a clear expectation. People, for the 50th, they wanted it to be about the 50th anniversary of the parks.
Yes.
And I get that. I wanted that too. Disney made it pretty clear with the golden statues, telling us about Harmonious being about Disney music, Enchantment being about a celebration of Disney characters. They made it very clear months and a month before this celebration started that if you want a history of the parks, you're not getting it with this. And yes, it would have been amazing to have that, but everything that changed out is more of a birthday present of a here we go. This is our gift to the new parks and not celebrating the parks. And ultimately, I remember however many months ago where I'm sitting here saying, I don't think we're even going to see fireworks during the 50th anniversary. I don't think we're going to see them a new show, even if we see fireworks. I didn't think meet and greets would be back. And then today, lo and behold, they're announcing physical distance meet and greets. A lot keeps changing, and it's...
I also want to point out, this is a company that lost, what is it, $7 billion now? $7 billion. They had every excuse to say, folks, we'll do a little something, but we're not spending this money. Yet we got a new attraction. We got 2, 3 more. Tron, Guardians of the Galaxy, getting ready to come online. They opened Space 220. They did an amazing job opening Steakhouse 71. Oh my God. May very well be the best restaurant on property right now. And when I say signature level experience, signature level food at table service prices, and again, it's so counter the narrative that we've had lately where they're giving less and charging more. They're giving more and charging less at this restaurant. And it's going to be impossible. Once people start experiencing it, it's going to be impossible to get a reservation. I'm telling everybody, get your reservations now. Get your reservations now. And I'm not being an apologist. No one can. Anyone that's watched me for any length of time knows I'm not an apologist for Disney. But that fair part, I look at it all and try and see, like, if something's not right, is there if something doesn't meet my expectations, is there a reason? Is there a legitimate reason why it may not? $7 billion is a legit reason. Okay? It's a business, folks, not a halfway house. $7 billion lost in the last year is a legit reason to maybe scale back on some things. I don't know what people were expecting on October 1st. Did you want popcorn buckets that were pleasuring you? What did you want?
See, I think when people looked at the show, I guess, the eternal optimist, that Disney saw, the critiques that were well-intentioned, not the nasty, bitching ones, but that they look at it and they go, oh, maybe we could improve this a little bit. Like, in my heart, I think Disney's going to take that in.
And this is what I'm worried about. This is what I'm worried about, though. The way it's been going, they're tuning us out. They're going to tune us out. And they're only going to pay attention to what happens to the bottom line. If it makes money, it stays. If it doesn't, it goes. And they're going to start, if they're not already, they're going to start tuning us out. And so I'm not saying your opinions are wrong. I'm just asking everybody kind of do a gut check. Like, was it really that bad? Is it possible it didn't translate well on video and it might be better live? I did see some people saying that. I'm like, okay, good. There's some people out there that have a modicum of self-awareness that, yes, this may be better live. Because, like, I was stunned after I'd only seen it live. And, as I was walking out Epcot, people were asking me, like, what'd you think? I'm like, it was fantastic. It was fantastic.
I saw so many people dancing. Like this one guy, he was filming and dancing, and I wanted to be like, hey, dude, you need to stop moving or that video is going to be terrible. But so many people
Craig
dancing
loves
and
your
singing.
feedback.
And we never agree.
No. Nah, sometimes we do. One of the other things that, like, I know people are starting to talk about it in the chat too, is specifically on October 1st itself, that it was very weird. I know Denny and I were both there before the park officially opened at 8 a.m. and no one knew what to expect. For the 45th anniversary, just 5 years ago, I think even most of us can remember, they did do a celebration for it. They had a nice little presentation on a stage, and they unfurled a banner that did not actually come down the whole way and got stuck, and it was hilarious. But even for a 45th, they acknowledged the anniversary. During the media preview of Enchantment, the two Bobs came out and said a couple words. Christina Aguilera lip synced to a song, and that was everything that they did for that. But then on the actual day of October 1st, I love her too, but it was weird. It was definitely weird. But then on October 1st at 8 a.m., the welcome show comes out, the new welcome show that they're doing, and that lasts a whole minute. And that's just it. And then nothing else. And then 2 hours later, a pre-recorded message from Jeff Valley plays across all 4 parks in Disney Springs for seconds. But then 30 minutes later, he's standing outside of Casey's Corner with a line of like 30 people deep wanting to take selfies with him. So I'm like, why wasn't there more fanfare? Why didn't they bring out a group of cast members, the opening day cast members, to have like a ceremony at the beginning?
Yeah.
Why didn't they do things like that? And, if Bob Chapek would have walked out on the stage to kick off the 50th on that morning, it would have been, people would have lost their minds. It would have been a riot. So I understand why he didn't want to do it. And Jeff Valley is like...
Yeah, but you have Josh tomorrow.
Yeah.
You do.
You have Josh tomorrow, who's
could
a
have done
crowd
it.
pleaser.
Yeah.
He was there too, wasn't he? 'Cause
Yes.
I
Yeah.
saw
Yeah,
pictures-
Yeah,
I
he
saw
was there
pictures of
too,
him,
but
yeah.
he was left out of like all of the moments, at least
I-
the moments that I was a part
I
of.
think and I don't know this. It's just a gut feeling. I think some people may be getting a little jealous of how popular Josh is. Good.
There's
Good.
a reason why he's
There's
so
a reason
popular.
why he's popular.
He's
well, first of
compassionate.
all, he is compassionate. He has depth. He has a heart. He really, genuinely, I can tell you, genuinely cares about the cast members. Somebody's at my front
Yes.
door.
with a bag.
With a,
Rhino, you want to go out
A
and see who
man
that
with a
is?
bag.
Oh wait, no, it's no, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's drink. It's fine.
okay.
But I don't know.
And if we're going to talk about the Bobs, Bob Chapek looked like he could have cared less. if
I
he
don't
was here.
even believe he'd ever been here before. When he told that story, I was like, I think you're lying. Like, I'm not trying to be a jerk or anything like that, but I was like, first of all, I said, is this the first time he's ever been to Walt Disney World as CEO? Because I was like, I don't remember. He wasn't here for Galaxy's Edge. He wasn't any of that stuff. I'm like, I don't know. It's just one of those things
He
where I'm
was
like,
here
you don't inspire people with your presence.
He
Like,
was here for when Star Wars, when Rise of the Resistance opened, because somebody asked him about entertainment, and he goes, "Our cast members."
Okay,
are
I
our
remember him
entertainment."
doing that.
Yeah,
and
I
I couldn't
remember
remember
that
if he was
line.
here
Yeah.
or if that was in Disneyland or not. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, whatever. I don't care. I don't know what his job involves or anything like that.
No,
It is one of
Josh
those
is
things,
Josh
you
is
know.
in these parks. I think Josh is in these parks more than you are.
No, John. I'm not talking about Josh. I'm talking
No,
about
I'm saying with
Yeah.
Bob, but I'm
Yeah.
just making the juxtaposition about
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No.
about Josh, and I don't know. We have all been through a lot of change. None of us like change. I don't think the changes that Disney has made with the 50th anniversary are cause for the level of vitriol that I've seen online. There are a lot of things I don't think are a cause for the level of vitriol I find online. But I'm just asking everybody, take a breath. Take a breath. Do a gut check. Because whether you know it or not, you are influencers. The reason I pay attention to what I say in a review is because I know people are going to listen to me. And yeah, I have maybe a larger platform than you do. But the people in your life, your friends, your family, that come to you because they know you're the Disney person. That matters. The things you say online matter. I've been trying to explain this to Disney for a long time. that they only focus on influencers with a certain follow count. And they need to be focusing on the much wider group of followers that impact a lot more people. And that's the community as a whole. Every time you post on Facebook, I don't care if you got 20 friends. Every time you post on Facebook about your opinions about a park, about a restaurant, you're an influencer. You're influencing people's opinions of something. And I would just ask that folks maybe do a little more of a gut check to make sure that what they're saying is fair, that there may be extenuating circumstances. You know, when I go, if I have bad service at a restaurant, my first reaction, server's having a bad day. That's why I will never mention the name of a server if it's a bad review. Never. If it's a good server, Macarena, I'll absolutely put that out there. I'll absolutely put that out there. But I don't know. I was far more disappointed with our community than I was with anything that happened at Disney last week. I was far more disappointed by the way we acted. And I know that sounds sanctimonious, and it is, but it's honest. It's honest. Taking exception to something, not liking something, fine. But the vitriol, I'm sorry, folks, it's a bad look. It's a bad look. And we are a great community. Look at the stuff we do. Look at the God, it's an amazing, I am so honored to be a part of this community. Until October 1st. I was embarrassed. And I just want to ask folks, take a breath. Please take a breath. Don't stop criticizing. Don't point out the things you don't like. I'm not saying that. Do it with a sense of fairness. And remember, no one died. No one died. It's not the end of the world if Disney does a bad fireworks show. It doesn't make all of Disney bad. That's why I think, you know, when people are talking about a fireworks show and say, I'm never going back to Disney, you might want to pump the brakes a little bit.
Yeah.
What else is going on here? That's not a reasonable reaction to a fireworks show. That's why I think there's other stuff coming in behind it.
That's what it is. It is a cumulative effect, right?
Yeah.
It is.
But I think some of that cumulative effect has nothing to do with Disney. I think, like I said, let's be honest. We're all feeling it right now. We're all feeling it right now. The last 18 months could have gone better.
Mm-hmm. But you know, when I walked out of Epcot the other night and Spaceship Earth was all lit up and the monorail went by with the lights on, those were two simple little things that they did that they didn't have to do that changed the tone in the park. Watching all the people standing in the front of Epcot taking pictures of the ball changing colors and going, ooh, and ah. When was the last time you walked through Epcot that you saw people standing there looking at Spaceship Earth?
Like
or
a
watching?
big, giant crowd. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, they didn't have to do that.
It's beautiful.
But it's beautiful.
It is.
To
I can't-
watch it.
And I'm
Nice
reading
to see
complaints
that.
about that too.
Yeah,
I
and,
love
and the
it.
song that goes along with it, and it's like, I could have stood there like all night watching the ball change.
I mean, they could have just put up a big, giant hand again.
Yeah,
You know,
really.
2021.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And kudos to Craig with the B-roll here.
Hey, yeah, this is not my B-roll though. I was
I
not
was like,
driving
did you
a
have a
crane
drone with
around.
you?
Yeah,
No. I'm saying having it ready to go during this show like this.
You're very welcome.
Greg, your craftsmanship is beyond matched with this.
So this is your B-roll?
No.
No, thanks Disney.
Oh, okay.
You know, when we were there on Sunday, Taylor and I, it had been 4 years since Taylor had been in a Disney park.
Wow.
2
Taylor
years,
being your sister,
yes.
younger sister.
2 years for me. We had not been since August of 2019. And I have to say that I was very impressed with being greeted as I came in. Like, all of the cast members were like waving hello, which we were there like right at opening. So, and just the level of excitement of the people around us, which we kind of stayed back and let the crowd go in, because we are not super comfortable being in a big crowd, even though we are vaccinated and wore our masks indoors anytime we were inside. And then if we felt like we were too crowded, we wore our masks. But we actually ran into Denny after riding Remy's Ratatouille adventure, and we got our little virtual queue. We were number 151, so we waited all day for this, which it is one of our favorite movies. It came out when she was 10 years old, so it's been a really big special thing for us. We love the France Pavilion, so seeing all of that redone was just amazing for us. Like, we had the best time. We took so many photos, and then Denny was sitting right outside the ride. I see this cute little blonde thing like tucked away on a set of stairs, and I'm like, that really looks like Denny's hair. And so I see a laptop. I'm like, it's her. And I was like, Denny? And then she took like 2 different glances. She's like, oh my gosh. She couldn't believe she was actually seeing me in front of her.
Well, it was like me coming out of my office and hearing your voice. I'm like, no.
It's a ghost.
Whose voice is that? Like, that must be someone else. I'm like, no, that sounds like
But it was
Julie.
so wonderful to actually see one of you, because I've not really gotten to see any of you for a very, very long time. And we chatted with her for a little while and sort of gave her some thoughts about how we felt about, how things were, and just asking how she had been, of course. But the only disappointment we had at first is we saw the Beauty and the Beast sing-along had taken the place of our beloved Impressions de France. And we were really upset. Like, I was going to go complain to guest services, okay? Well, after we came out, we saw, and Denny even said, oh, they show it at night. So we rounded the corner, 3 minutes to the next show. So we got to end our day seeing our favorite film at Epcot, and then walking out to the fireworks. I mean, like, that show is going to mean a lot to me because it's also the first time I had seen Taylor in 2 years. So I feel like the whole experience, having the 50th going on, it was a beautiful day. I absolutely loved everything that we did and saw. I mean, we walked 20,000 steps that day.
Wow.
And these 41-year-old hips were not feeling so great afterwards.
I'm going to slap her up the chin. As soon as I walked in, I'm like, well, I've always said that Julie is a vampire because you look at pictures of her from 20 years ago, and it looks exactly the same.
I'm not saying it's not true.
I don't know. Rhino, what were your thoughts?
I have not seen Harmonious, so I cannot say anything about it. I didn't watch
But
the live
generally,
stream.
about the 50th.
I mean, it was crowded. It was crowded at Magic Kingdom that day, but I guess the wait times are really low. So, like, I started my day at Hollywood Studios and had a very good time there, and then park hopped to Magic Kingdom and loved meeting every single person that stopped us to say hello because they were out in full force that
Yes,
day.
they
And
were.
Not bragging or anything like that, but that's what I love about the beginning of all these events is really being able to see these people where it's like every 2 steps is a person because, I mean, anybody on planet Earth, whoever is like coming, giving you that energy right there, that just makes you feel really good. But
Yes, it does.
But it was a little overwhelming for me, the amount of people that were in Magic Kingdom. So I left after a couple hours. So I then went to Animal Kingdom, which was deserted. Nobody was there.
Really?
I literally walked right onto Flight of Passage with my friend because I had a friend who had never been to Animal Kingdom who was with me, and his park pass we were able to go to not all 4 parks because it was we had walked 13 miles by the time we had gotten to the end of Animal Kingdom, but yeah, so we went on, we did that in like 2 seconds on that, walk on everything, so that was good, and then we went back to finish our night at Hollywood Studios because I mean, my Disney history is Hollywood Studios because of having worked there for so many years, and I never had gone there as a kid, but I thought it was the appropriate place for me to be on a celebration of this, even though it's not an anniversary for that park, but I thought the beacons of light on the Tower of Terror looked really cool. I thought that was I love that accent. I like all of those lighting touches. I have not seen the only park I haven't been to yet was Epcot. I thought I could make it and I just couldn't do it. My legs couldn't do it. So I went back to Animal Kingdom yesterday. I don't know. I mean, it's just starting. This is 18 months long, so I don't feel like I agree that I wish it was more in celebration of how we have built this like community and culture and the theme parks and all that. I wish it had been a celebration of that and less more like just like stuff. But that is the future. I don't mean to say, and it's like what Craig said. That has been on the writing on the wall for even longer than the planning of this. Is like with everything with Disney Plus, with all that stuff, is that it's just going to be constantly that sort of stuff. I do wish I did watch the live stream Enchantment. The live stream was horrible, but I am going to wait and reserve my judgment till I see it in person. I love Angela Bassett, so I enjoyed her voiceover. So I don't know how I will actually react in person, but it does not. The live stream I watched did not have an emotional moment the same way that like I think about when the castle was destroyed in Happily Ever After, and then Mufasa, and like because Lion King is one of my favorite Disney movies. Like when he does the remember who you are, and it has that boom, and it's like starts the castle starts rebuilding itself. As I'm like, that's emotion. Like that is like I don't care who you are. It like gives you goosebumps. It triggers something, and I didn't really have that watching live stream. But again, it doesn't happen in person. I mean, day one of any event is going to be insane. So I'm looking forward to the stuff that's going to be happening as it's going. I don't know. I mean, I had a day. I had a good day. It was fun. I don't know. I'm not going to be negative about all this stuff the way everybody else is. So I'm going to be open to all the experiences that we have, and I have accepted what they're about. I have met some amazing people in the last couple of days, so they made the days for me. Yeah. That's all I'll say.
So in terms of the actual day of the 50th anniversary, we knew the new shows were debuting, except Harmonious debuted 2 days earlier. Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, if you weren't a DVC or annual pass holder, which a lot of people in our community are one or the other, you probably already wrote it. So while it was debuting for kind of everyone else. So really on October 1st, it was really big about the limited edition, or not limited edition, I apologize. Yeah, I guess the limited edition day of merchandise, new popcorn buckets and sippers, and then the new food that was debuting. And that's kind of like the big stuff. And not surprisingly, that's why mobile order lines were ridiculous on the first. The popcorn bucket lines were an absolute joke. The one cart that sits to the right of Cinderella Castle, the line went all the way back and was close to looping around Cosmic Rays. And I don't even know how long that was. I'm sure it was probably only hour and a half, 2 hours. But now that I just say that out loud, that is ridiculous for a popcorn bucket. That is, but you know what? I'm also not judging anyone because I have my same things that I get excited like that
but
for.
It's not just that too. And I get this. We all live here. We can go back in a week.
Yes.
We can go back.
Yeah.
If you're here on vacation, you can't.
Right.
You can't. So, okay, I want that popcorn bucket, and I may not be back here for 2 years, so...
I feel bad that people had to wait in a line like that. I don't know why. And maybe it's because of shipping issues and stuff, that manufacturing issues that they can't have so much. But, like, on a day one like that, when everyone wants it right away and has to have it, and might be their only day, why you shouldn't be able to walk 30 feet without finding another one if you want it.
They did. So my friends were just in Disneyland, and they were telling me they picked up something for me at what am I thinking of? Where we get the mugs? Trader Sam's.
Yeah.
And they got me something there. And they were telling me that they were staying in the Disneyland hotel. And I was like, I don't want you to be inconvenienced because I've had somebody stop before and they waited like hours for... I was like, I don't want that. I don't want to take away from anybody's vacation or anything like that. If you just happen to have been there, and they were like, oh no, they used the app. In the app, you did a mobile order. You were able to just order that merchandise. And she was like, it said what time you would go. There was tables out of everything. You walked right up to the table and then walked right away. And she was literally like, there was nobody there. It was just the cast members with the stuff there. And I'm like, why wouldn't they have utilized something like... I would have loved to have seen them utilize something similar for this, because it's not like this is new. Everybody knows we have the flippers. Everybody knows that everybody wants the Disney merch.
Honestly, a lot of that, well, I won't use that word, a lot of that stuff rolls downhill. And it really comes back to who's president. It comes back to who's president. And I'm going to be honest, the more I get to learn about Jeff Foley, the less I like him. the less I like them. I don't think the parks are being managed really well. Stories like that one kind of highlight that. I think that's fair stuff to criticize. I think that's fair stuff to point out, because that's how the parks are run. I think, like I said, I think I think that deserves more attention than Harmonious. Personally, were you gonna say something?
Can we talk about KiteTails?
Oh yeah, see, I haven't seen it, but I've watched the videos, and I think we should that should be renamed to Schadenfreude, because people are watching the videos just to watch what a disaster it's been. And I feel so bad for those cast members. I feel so bad.
So, KiteTails is very unique. I have now watched it 3 different times, and the debut performance, I was like, oh, that's cute. I would never wait for it. I would never go out of my way for it. But if I happen to be walking past and they're like, oh, 2 minutes till showtime, I'd pop in and watch it. And then after that, I was like, I just started reading comments with it, and people were pretty upset with it visually, which is understandable. And then I looked at more photos that I took during it. I'm like, gosh, there is a lot of train wrecks just like taking place right in here. And I'm not even talking about the issues that have been plaguing the show, Baloo getting caught in trees, jet skis flipping over. I'm not talking about any of that. It's kind of a disaster, but it's a disaster in the absolute best way. And so then I go back and watch a couple more shows, and the cast members who are doing like the stadium performances, like doing puppetry and holding and doing kite work in it, they are incredible, and they should be recognized for the amazing work that they're doing.
Those are cool.
And even the performers who are out on the jet skis holding these kites and trying to make them do all these cool techniques, everything should be applauded by the show. It is just like one of those ones where you don't know if like, why is this even in a Disney park? Who okayed it? But then you're captivated by it. So it is. It's
Pumbaa flying was the best thing ever. That's why I laughed. Like seeing Pumbaa go by so fast was amazing.
Yeah, it is so bizarre. Like it should not exist anywhere in any form, but it does, and it is a disaster. But it's one that I think I enjoy.
What does Carly
now
call it?
more?
Like a show of imminent chaos that's like just fun to watch to see what happens.
Because then
Like,
you don't know.
Schadenfreude.
You don't know what's going to
It's
happen.
enjoyable to watch the disaster. And I feel bad for the cast members. I really do. And again, I'm reserving judgment. I've only seen the video. I want to go see it in person.
I will say I feel bad for the cast members what they read online, but I promise in the stadium, the people who are seeing the show live in person are absolutely loving it. And they are making sure that all the cast members there are appreciated with it. Like huge applause, standing applause with it. So it's hopefully, they're not going on and reading YouTube comments, because no one should ever do that.
Yeah, exactly.
I do want to say something
why I
about
pay
the
Craig.
the cast members at Animal Kingdom, because I went there yesterday to film a video, and it was like one after another, every single interaction we had, because I was my friend Amber, who's got 2 young kids, and she had, it was Mama's day out, so I said, Mama gets what Mama wants today, and so we went, and so anytime she'd be like, oh, I'd be like, Mama gets what Mama wants. So that was our mantra. But the cast members, oh my gosh, one of them watches the show. It ended up Carlos David in the Dinoland games, who was incredibly nice, and then there was a cast member, Casey, because we were trying to win the big Cementosaurus or the big Iguanodon, but you have to have a certain number of players, so he would like signal to us when it was time to like sit down and hand him the tickets to play, so there were enough people so we could play. And eventually she did win the Cementosaurus. I will not spoil the video, but That was them. There was a guy, Jimmy, who was in the Restaurantosaurus Lounge that was phenomenal too. All I did was walk in and I said something about, oh, you have this bourbon on the shelf back here. That's a hard to get one, blah, blah, blah. And we just kept talking about it for a few minutes. He made me a drink and just gave it to me.
Rhino,
he was like,
Rhino connecting with people through alcohol.
I.
That's what landed me in 3 rehabs.
He was great. So it was Casey, Jimmy, Carlos, David, and then Emma helped me look for something that fell out of my bag. And then the Tyler guest. I couldn't believe it. I walked out of the parking lot and I was like, God, that is the energy I want from this 50th celebration. Was like more of that
And
sort of stuff.
it's funny you mentioned that. Every cast member I interacted with last week,
Yes.
they were wonderful. They were absolutely wonderful.
Us too on Sunday for sure. We had our server Sergio at La Hacienda. We ate lunch there, which we thoroughly enjoyed. I had not been obviously in a very long time, and it always just was kind of okay for me. But our meal was fabulous. I very much enjoyed it, and he took great care of us. We got to sit in a window. It wasn't crowded at all. So good.
And I had a good meal last night over at Terralina Crafted Italian. But I have found the worst pizza on property.
Uh-oh.
That pizza needs Viagra. Okay, I'll let you, the visual. But we had
pepperoni?
I think his name was Ryan, but he was wearing a name tag that said Destiny. I'm like, is that your stripper name? I mean, and he was wonderful though. He was absolutely wonderful. We had great banter back and forth, and the pork chop. I wasn't reviewing it. We was just actually having dinner with friends. That pork chop, well, it was phenomenal. But let me talk real quick about Steakhouse 71. How worried I was that they were going to ruin this restaurant, and they didn't.
Oh, good.
They didn't. They built on what made it great as the Wave, which was a really creative menu, delicious food. When I get a New York strip that I can cut with a fork, I expect that for a filet mignon, not a New York strip. So tender I can cut it with a fork, and it's $33, and I'm steps from the Magic Kingdom. This place was ripe for Disney to say, okay, jack everything up.
Yeah.
And they didn't. And at breakfast, my breakfast review is already up. My dinner review is coming soon. That Walt's breakfast hash. I'm not a breakfast hash guy. I don't like breakfast. Ever since that day, every day, I'm like, oh, I really need to go back for that hash.
What was in it?
It's prime rib, and then like the potatoes and the onions and the stuff that you normally would have with a hash. But the prime rib has their signature rub. And this is another thing. That signature rub reminds me a lot of Steakhouse 55 in California.
Okay.
That's cool.
A lot. And that's high praise. And so the prime rib had the signature rub on it, mixed with the other flavor. I couldn't stop eating it. And we had ordered I'd ordered everything, pretty much everything on the menu. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's good. Oh, that's good. I'm going back to that hash. And it was wonderful. And the decor now that they've gone back, to that, pictures of Disney World at the beginning in 1971. And the only thing they need to do, and I think that I mentioned this to them, I think they're going to be doing this. They need some more soundproofing in there. Because when that restaurant is full, you can't hear the person sitting across from you. My only complaint. The food, and of course, my beloved bacon and eggs back on the menu
Oh, good.
for dinner. And I dubbed Walt's prime rib hash as the bacon and eggs of breakfast. And I realized when I was editing that video, I'm like, okay, people that don't know, people are just finding this video who have no idea about the wave or anything else, they're going to hear me say this is the bacon and eggs of breakfast and go like, what the hell is he talking about? But they don't have bacon and eggs there? Like, but it was amazing. But their American breakfast, they have the cheesy grits from the bacon and eggs.
Smoked cheddar.
And
So good.
so good. So good. But yeah, Steakhouse 71,
Oh, good.
that's the new wave.
Good.
They really threaded a needle. I don't know how they did it. And that executive chef, Chef Barry, this guy's a genius in the kitchen. And not just with the meals and the flavors and things like that. I don't know how he's getting stuff at this quality, at those prices. I don't understand it. Because I asked somebody, like, does this restaurant make money? Like, oh yeah, it does really well. I'm like, oh, so they can do that. Signature experience, table service prices. Why the hell can it be everywhere on property like that? It's obviously possible. Like I said, when you talk about the most expensive item on that menu, I think it's $33. And it's a steakhouse at Disney World. Screw yachtsmen, screw shulas. That's where I'm going.
Wow.
That's where I'm going.
We had a great experience at Crystal Palace in Magic Kingdom on the first, and it was kind of the same vibe. Obviously not the same as Steakhouse 71, but they've redone the menu. And so for the 50th, they've added a lot of Walt's favorites. And so the placards above the buffet specifically tell you which items were his favorites.
Cocktails and cigarettes?
No, not cocktails and cigarettes. No, there was a country fried chicken that was so good, and braised beef short ribs that fell apart. I mean, just amazing stuff.
So it was really good.
It was so good. So Pooh and his friends are not parading around the restaurant right now. So it's $39 for adults and $23 for kids. But you get to eat all and it was just, I'll have a review article coming out about it. It was so good.
I
We
gotta
left
try
there
it.
feeling really, like it was just a little respite in the middle of a crazy Magic
I mean, you
Kingdom
would
day.
pay $39 sometimes for a short rib dish.
Right.
So,
Right.
And you get your beverage, Walt's favorite apple cobblers on the dessert bar. Like it's
I
so
live
many
for
great
short
choices.
ribs.
And then I went to Space 220 that the prefix menu was $79 a person. It was good, but this sounds like it was much
I will
better.
take you to Steakhouse 71.
Okay.
I will take you and Katie.
Well, I went to Space 220 with a fellow space geek. She is a PACOM for the International Space Station. Her name's Penny. Hi, Penny. So we wanted to go as space geeks to see if it lived up to the hype. And we were there for 3 hours.
Wow.
And I think,
2 hours and 45 minutes in line to get in.
No.
I'm
We had dining reservations. The atmosphere going up, again, I'm looking for details and stuff. The elevator ride up was awesome. They stay in character, and going back down, going up, you go at 10,000 miles an hour. Coming down, you go at 13,000 miles an hour. But the cast members were really into their roles. And I was telling Denny, there was somebody who stepped out from someplace backstage, and she saw me standing there, and she instantly went into character. Oh, are you ready to go back down to the planet and do all this stuff? The food was good. I don't know that it's like I'd say, oh, let's go there the next time. I think I would say that would be like a special meal if somebody was coming into town or somebody that I knew that like space stuff. It was cool. I don't know that it's going to, and I don't want to say it's going to be a one and done, but I guess maybe I have to go back and try it again. I mean, the food was very good. It's just a little
Well,
expensive.
that's the surprising thing, since it's Patina Group, and You know, patina used to be really good all the time, and now not so much.
The filet, you could have cut it with a fork. But the idea that
Well,
for
a
me-
filet mignon you should always be
Right,
able to cut
right.
with a fork. If you
But-
can't,
But some places you can't. But this, when you think that for an adult, by the time you get one of the drinks, you know, because I got the Moon Rocks drink with the Pop Rocks, and I got my space cards. But that was like, by the time you put a tip, you're talking for an adult over $100.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many people are going to want to do that every trip.
per person or
Per person.
Yeah, no. No. Steakhouse 71.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. You will thank me. It's the new wave. It's the new wave. They took something great and made it better.
Oh, that's good.
They made it better. So, all right, we're over, and we got to do a Patreon show. So, thanks, folks, for joining us. That's going to do it for this week's episode of the Diz Unplugged. We hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you again next week. Have a great one, and remember, stop bitching so much on Facebook. That should be my new tagline.